This week in Pure Reinvention.
Hi, Mike and Misty. I'm Amy Sorensen with Michigan Lodging and Tourism Association. As I'm newer to my position, I'm focusing a lot of my time on learning the trade. How can I make more time for personal and professional development?
Episode 71, Pure Reinvention Short, Making Space for Personal and Professional Development.
Engage, disrupt, adapt, repeat. You're listening to Pure Reinvention, the podcast for curious people.
Welcome to this episode of Pure Reinvention, where we create space for the unexpected by inspiring a reinvention lifestyle. Misty, we've got one of our favorite episodes here.
Short and sweet with a really good question.
I think it's really important that at times we just condense our thought process into a shorter time period and really focus on one subject, and Amy is helping us with that today.
Well, and I really love that we're getting some more dialogue with our customers, and it's nice to hear what they're going through, and I'm sure our listeners are finding these questions important and relevant.
This episode of Pure Reinvention is sponsored by Pure Reinvention Retreats. This reinvented take on corporate retreats and team building will have everyone involved feeling refreshed and ready to approach their work with a new attitude. Contact us to talk about what you need, when you need it, and why, so we can deliver a completely personalized event for your team. So let's talk a little bit about what Amy has brought forward today about investing in our own professional and personal development. Misty, what are your thoughts?
I'm glad that you said investing, because I think that's one of the big roadblocks that I hear first is it's expensive. It costs money. I don't have the money. And we need to stop thinking of it as an expense, as a cost, and as a true investment.
I think you're absolutely right. I think not only do we hear that it costs money, but I don't have the time. And quite frankly, it may be actually the time is more of the barrier than the actual expense. But when you think about it, Misty, when we create time for things that are important to us, we find the time. So why don't we do that with our own professional development?
Right. You told me once, you have the time for the stuff that's important to you. And I think this is one of those things that you need to just make a priority and choose to invest time and money into. Because once it's there, you take it wherever you go. You can use it personally, professionally, and as you grow. And then it feels less like a burden and less like an expense and more like a benefit.
I wonder if sometimes we think that because our employer has expected us to do this, that we look at it as a cost and we don't understand its value. I started to think about that differently when I got my mind wrapped around the fact that this was an investment in me, and wherever I went and whoever I worked for, or if I was working for myself, I took that knowledge with me. It's almost like when you invest in your own 401k, and it's portable, so you can take it from place to place to place. It doesn't stay with wherever you invested at. It goes with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember having a great discussion with my dad when I was paying for my own college. I had some scholarships, and the rest of it was up to me to figure out whether I took out student loans or got a job, and which I did all of that. But he said, someday you're going to appreciate this education more because you'll understand the value of it. And he was totally right. And I think that has continued for me into adulthood. And that's what you're saying. It's once you put your money and your time forward, it becomes real and it becomes something you seek out the value of.
It's something that you start to define as valuable rather than somebody else defining it as valuable. And if we think about the last blog that was on Pure Reinvention, done very well by Will Carlson about making space, what we begin to understand is if we can create a vacancy in our mind, some space for this new information to go in, much like when you went to college, Misty, and you made the time, right? You made the space and you absorbed that information and you found a place to put it. That becomes the foundation of next generation thought. If you don't make that space, and if you don't include those new thoughts into your mind, you can't grow to next levels. And it's really important if we're really going to contribute in a meaningful way, no matter what our career or our work activity is, we have to keep up with an ever-changing and demanding next set of expectations.
You're right. I have two things for Amy's question to tie into what you just said. First of all, read Will's blog, because the way he approaches that blog article is overcoming the roadblocks. And I think that there's a really important conversation to have about, are they really roadblocks, or are you just making them to be bigger than they are? And often I think you'll find that you feed that roadblock beast, and then it becomes something you can't drive over anymore. The second thing is, when you're trying to invest into new education opportunities, go outside of your industry.
Wow. I really like that thought. Maybe there's really something, Misty, to this thought process that, is it possible that people don't value the investment they're making because it's too closely aligned to what they already know? And if you take your advice that you just mentioned and you think about adding information or knowledge from a different perspective, from a different industry, in other words, there's a lot of space away from what you already know, does that actually, because of that space, add value? And by adding value, it challenges you to figure out with this new information where it fits. And why might we be eager to look at different industries rather than our own? I really like that.
Yeah, Will has a good story that I'm not going to spoil for you in his blog, so go read it to find out what it is. But it is about him doing that, exactly that, going outside of his own industry and what that meant to him. And I think there's so much space that follows our fundamental of connect when we encourage you to go connect with new and different ideas. And it's amazing the overlap you can find when you expose yourself to that, something that you don't think you know it all. So you go in with a much more open mind and ready to receive new information.
Misty, what I'm hearing you say is it causes us to stretch. And so that creating space, investing the time. I think it's really about the time. It's not really about the money. It's about the time. So we create space, we invest the time, and then because we look at an alternative universe, a different industry, we have to stretch in order to really absorb and understand. And that's where growth comes from.
That's exactly true. I like it. That makes sense.
Well, it's the same understanding where if you enter into a heavy physical regimen where you're beginning to exercise a lot more, you actually, in a way, tear down some of your muscle structure, some of your muscle fiber, rest, let it heal. And when you heal, you actually heal those muscle fibers back stronger. So you small tear, heal stronger, small tear, heal stronger. And over a series of days and months and years, you're capable of more than when you started. And I think it's the same with knowledge. If we take it in on a regular basis and challenge what we've known in the past by adding new, as in a new workout, we then begin over a period of time to accumulate to a stronger or more knowledgeable or more capable individual.
So that is perfect. Let's do a quick recap for the listeners to answer Amy's question in a nice short way. How does she make more space for personal and professional development? The first thing we said was consider the money an investment, not an expense.
And make the time.
And the second one is make the time. And I would add to that, be intentional. Once you put the time in your calendar, stick to it.
Yes, absolutely. Follow through. Put it on your calendar. Work around it, make that a non-negotiable.
And go outside of your industry and find new ways to explore and learn. And for our mobile app users, we have a worksheet for you. It's a freebie on the mobile app. And if you don't have it, you can download it and get this freebie. And it walks you through how to identify thought leaders in and outside of your industry and grow from that and use it. And let us know if you like it. So you can email us at hello@purereinvention.com or follow us on social media. And if you have a question that we haven't answered yet, you can give us a call, leave it on our answering machine, and you could be our next PR short. That number is 989-249-3885.
If you're ready for a change, make it a change that lasts. Make it Pure Reinvention.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pure Reinvention. Keep the conversation going and get alerts when new podcasts are up by following us on Twitter @PureReinvention or sign up for our mailing list at PureReinvention.com.